Good evening and welcome to Green White Checker TV's presentation of the Area 51 NextGen series, live from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We are high above this 2.5 mile oval, well, I should say rectangle, because of the interesting layout here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. About 30 seconds or so left to practice. It's just finishing up and we'll roll into our qualifying action. Before we do though, let's take a look at our point standings. Maxwell Caldwell currently sits atop of the board above Isaiah Sutherland, Gary Silipinski in a tight battle for second and third. Mark Brown and Kyle Heath round out the top five. Todd Merkel, John Hell, Joseph Morales, Jason Adams, James Ledford round out our top 10. 2 wins on the season for Maxwell Caldwell and Isaiah Sutherland. So we're going to be watching them, see if they can pick up another victory tonight. Other winners are Kyle Heath, as well as Nick Cohan, who's not in the field this evening. Gary Silipinski and Mark Brown sitting close to the top of the standings, waiting to pick up their first win of the 2022 spring season with Area 51's Cup Series. Going to be some interesting things to look for tonight. Firstly, we want to look at, we'll listen along with this if drivers are shifting or not down these long straightaways into the short chutes. Shifting may come into play here. So that's going to be something we will keep an eye on. We'll do some onboard shots and take a look about that. Something else we want to look for is last week at Martinsville, there was a slew of cautions all race. 75 lap event this evening, and we're expecting that to be very different here. A much larger track. Field should get spread out here. So I'm expecting much less cautions here, but you never know in these tight confines of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Very narrow track, tight corners, and if you get up high, you could easily slide up and slap the wall. For our racetrack here, built 1909, is the home of the Indianapolis 500, our famous Labor Day race here in the United States. As we watch some drivers now out on the track. Right now we're on board Maxwell Caldwell in the Oreos number 94. We'll follow along with his qualifying lap. Long lap here, about a 50-second lap. We'll see what lap times pop up on the boards here in our practice session. This is going to be something we'll keep an eye on all night. Look at Caldwell there, heading down the backstretch at Indianapolis. Right now we have Joseph Givalli atop of the boards in number 47 with a 54.03. We'll watch Maxwell Caldwell down the front stretch here. Let's see what kind of lap time he sets for this first lap. Only 9th quick with a 54.37, so a little bit off pace here as Gary Silipinski jumps up to the top of the board. Silipinski currently 3rd place in points, and Chris Jaboo in the 83. Let's get a good look at Chris Jaboo, the HendrickCars.com number 83, jumps up to the top position. Isaiah Sutherland, 2nd point contender to Sutherland Used Cars, number 1, sits in 7th. Kyle Heath right behind him, and looks like sorry, that's Philip Temples in the Burger King 19. Got our eyes on him. First run out for Philip Temples, unfamiliar name with us here with the Area 51 Cup Series. Back to the Maxwell Caldwell here in the 94. Heads down the backstretch. We'll go to the top of the line. Yes, he goes to the top of the boards. We caught the end of his lap there. Very good lap for Maxwell Caldwell. Looks like we have about 1 minute left of our qualifying session. Some drivers towards the back of the back. Here's Joshua Yarbrough in the 77 Toyota Camry. It looked like there, I may have heard him downshift a little bit there, off into what was turn 3. Going to be something to keep an eye on, and we'll try to keep an eye on that, as I said in the open, about what exactly these drivers are doing out there on the track as far as shifting goes. It's going to be something interesting to watch play out as we see Yarbrough across the line, currently 19th quick. And just, up to 14th quick there for Joshua Cale Yarbrough. As our qualifying session is finishing up. Looks like our field is going to be set. We'll take a look. Maxwell Caldwell, Brandon Murray, Chris Jabou, Lewis Woodall, Kyle Heath is our top 5. As now our field starting to make their way out to the track. Our field getting lined up. Our starters stand. We're going to take a look at our qualifying results and thus our starting grid for this 75 lap affair. Maxwell Caldwell will be lining up on pole in the Oreos on D4. Brandon Murray, strong run for Brandon. Didn't get the finish he wanted, but starts from 2nd spot. Chris Jabou with a nice run, starting from 3rd. Lewis Woodall starts from 4th position. Kyle Heath in 5th. Gary Silipinski in 6th. Joseph Gavalli starts in 7th with Charles Evans alongside. In the 5th row, we have Robbie Dornell and Philip Temples, first run of the season for Philip. Isaiah Sutherland, the 2nd place point man, starts from 11th, and hard luck Mike Peters, starting from the 12th position. Hopefully we see Mike Peters' luck turn around. Michael Malm and Joshua Yarbrough in the 7th row. Behind them, Todd Merkel and Mark Brown. John Boris, number 86 Dizzy Motorsports Machine, starts next to Derek Gilray in the number 46. John Held, Joseph Morales, James Ledford, Gael Brooks, Joseph DeCiro, and Robert Jordan round out our 24-car starting field. Pace car now begins to pull away. And field starts rolling down towards tight and tricky turn number 1. We'll have a look at it here on our camera. We see our field rolling in very, very tight quarters here. Going to be something to keep an eye on all afternoon here with the Area 51 Cup Series. Now, one thing we want to set the scene here is what kind of action are we going to see today? We've seen several of these guys get into each other, rub fenders last week at Martinsville. Does any of that carry over here to this big, fast speedway? I think it's going to be something that's going to be awfully tricky for these drivers to figure out, especially at the speeds that we have here. Field getting ready to go. We will be watching along as we are packed up side by side. Ladies and gentlemen, fans of all ages, it's showtime on Hot Shoe TV. as we were watching from our turn 4 camera, dive way down to the inside. Meanwhile, up front, Maxwell Caldwell has a lead on Brandon Murray, Chris Jabou, and Lewis Woodall, who with Gary Silipinski making a move as we head down the backstretch for the second time. Number 78 Cole Police, Furniture Road Ford Mustang, trying to get his first win of the season. Brothers looks. Currently sits in the 6th spot as we gonna look back up front here a little bit. Maxwell Caldwell still leads a little bit of about 2 car lengths over Brandon Murray, with Chris Jabou in the Hendrick cars, number 83, tucked up behind. And I wonder what kind of draft is going to come into play here. That's going to be something that we will watch along with. And we'll see if we can jump on board here. Number 83. This is number 83, Chris Jabou, currently sits in 3rd position. Kitty Cat Chris. Happy to have him out there tonight with the beautiful number 83. New number for him. Really tight on the throttle there. Right now, as he does make that pass on Brandon Murray. That was Chris Jabou in the 83, slips up to the 2nd spot. We'll see if Murray can throw something back on him. That draft did come into play a little bit. I'm not sure if Murray stumbled coming out of the corner, but right about mid straightaway, Chris Jabou was able to get that fender alongside. And see, so far, cars kind of locked down in behind one another. Haven't seen the next-gen cars on the track like this. So we got a good battle here. That's Isaiah Sutherland trying to move the inside of Mark Peters. You saw him slip around Charles Evans as we caught it in frame, as the 73 of Mark Brown also slips by Charles Evans. Evans is an unsponsored number 58 towards the top of our picture. But the Sutherland used car is number 1, trying to get by Mike Speed. Mike with some tough luck. That's the number 95 car we're speaking about. In the recent races, running up front, strong runs for Mike Peters, but unfortunately unable to really do anything with it. Hopefully tonight he can get it. Right now he sits in 8th. We'll see if he's able to move up some positions there and just have a nice strong run. We got one driver way off pace here. Kyle Heath has entered the pit lane. Not sure the reasoning for that. We saw him enter the pits. May have had an incident. We'll see. I wonder if we could go back and take a look here at what exactly happened to Kyle Heath. I'm trying to find. Here, there is Mike Peters behind him in the 54. Does he just pull off the track here? Yeah, it looks like he just pulls into pit lane, so I'm not sure what the issue is there as we go back to our live coverage. A bit farther back in the pack, here's the 86 of John Borst, currently up 5 spots from the start. Certainly sits in 12th position, started 17th, slowly making his way up in front. We see a very methodical drives out of John Borst, and that's what he's doing so far this evening. Robbie Darnell sits behind him in the Hillsborough number 44. Sharp looking race car. Happy to have Robbie Darnell out there. And a part-time, it's the Hillsborough Feed Company Inc. number 44 Chevy Camaro. Todd Merkel, we saw Todd Merkel involved in a lot of incidents, most not of his doing. Last week at Martinsville, currently sits 14th. Josh Yarbrough, one of our fan favorites, currently sits 15th. John Helm, a little bit slower than we would normally expect out of Helm. And that Castrol number 47 held usually much quicker, but this big track proving to be some trouble for him. Kind of has that throwback sort of Tom Supra paint scheme on there with the Castrol TRD sponsorship. Back up front though, we may have missed the pass for the lead. Chris Jabot able to slip by. Let's see if we can go back and see what happened here. Down the backstretch, looks like Jabot just has a big run, and I apologize for missing the pass for the lead as we were going a little bit through the field. Jabot into Hendrick Cars number 83, slipping on by Maxwell Caldwell here. Beautiful pass. We'll go a little bit faster. Here's our real-time speed replay. A good pass. I wonder if Caldwell let him by. And this is something that we want to talk about. We see it in the Indy 500 all the time. Fuel strategy may come into play here. And that may be exactly what Caldwell was doing. Maybe he's able to back off a little bit, let Jabot out there and lead. The kitty cat out in front of this race, the beautiful number 83. Kyle Larson lookalike car. Top four, separated by about a second here. We see some Silipinski slipping into the picture. There he is. Strong run so far for Gary Silipinski, up 2 spots from where he started in 6th. Pull off into the pits. Isaiah Sutherland well off the pace. I don't think he entered the pits. Let's see if we can see what happened to Isaiah Sutherland here. Comes out of the corner. Look at that! Did he make contact with Mark Brown? We're going to back this up one more time here. Side by side for position. Was there barely contact? And Sutherland, big move to gather that back up, and he manages somehow losing several spots to John Bors. It looks like Robbie Darnell got around him. Charles Evans and Todd Merkel also slipped on by. Big slip there, and that seems like a tricky spot. We saw Kyle Heath have to bail out into the pits as well. I wonder if that had something to do with it. But he's able to recover. Second place in points right now for the number 1 Sutherland used cars machine. We'll check in back up front. Top 4 still under a blanket. Heading down the backstretch for 11 laps into 75. Drivers kind of locked in here, it seems. I wonder how much of the aerodynamics is coming into play. It's with Silipinski making a move, really sends it in hard to the inside of Brandon Murray. Able to make it stick, though. Gives them plenty of room. They're still side by side here as they roll through turn 2. And this is going to cause these guys to lose a lot of time. And we see the big gap that's opened up running side by side like that. This is a type of track where you are not going to be able to run side by side like we just saw. It's just not possible here. We see that with IndyCar all the time. If these guys do try to run it through side by side, they just lose so many positions and so many spots. And it's very unfortunate. But they were able to keep it going. Did lose some time. Silipinski, though, going to start clawing back a little, actually slower than our leaders right now. Chris Jabot out in front, fastest car out there. Big honorable mention tonight, Joseph, and I've been saying his last name incorrectly. It's Joseph Grijalva. Joseph Grijalva. I apologize for all my mispronunciations there. Joseph Grijalva. Slipping past Brandon Murray. I wonder if Brandon Murray has a little bit of a problem. May have cooked his tires a little bit as he loses another spot. Slips back to now the 4th position. Gonna jump back, take a look at Guy Brooks, the 971 DeWalt machine. It's a Ford Mustang. Currently sits in 14th spot behind Isaiah Sutherland. Just made a pass on Todd Merkel. A little bit farther front though. Here comes Sutherland trying to go around Charles Evans on the high side. Beginning to make his charge back after that massive slip up he had in turn 4. Great recovery though that he did not totally spin out. That car was dead sideways. Maybe the move of the race so far. Silipinski slips around Caldwell because just the tail end of it looks like Silipinski got a good run out of the corner and was able to slip on by Maxwell Caldwell. Caldwell just kind of moves over Silipinski, got the speed right now, fastest car on the track, slips on by. As we go back, we see the gap has begun to close to Kitty Cat Chris Yarbrough. Approaching pit stops here, about halfway through this run. We'll see when these drivers start to pull off. Now, a little bit of a shorter fuel game than we usually play with the Area 51 Cup Series. Tends to run with about 80% fuel in the tank, so drivers do need to make a few more pit stops. A couple sets of tires in the pits, also a fast repair. I don't think anybody's needed to take that so far, and with the field spread that we have here, we may have 1 or 2 drivers take that tonight. Silipinski really starting to put the pressure on. The number 83, that time by about 1/10 of a second faster than Chris Yarbrough. Our eyes are going to be set right here as Silipinski trying to get his first win of the season. Chris Yarbrough, kind of a part-time runner with our series this season. We'll be very, very excited to get that podium finish as well. First place finish if possible. A little bit further back in the pack, John Boris approaching Mike Speed. Mike Peters, this will be for 9th position. John Boris, the driver, steadily climbing up through the field here. See, he's got the draft. Look at John Boris. Does he make a move? He's showing him his nose. Can he quite get there? Sucks up for the side draft. You saw that. Now he dives it off into turn 1. Mike Peters giving plenty of room. Doesn't quite clear him. Side by side now through turn 2. Boris may have the advantage here on exit. Good moves right here by these drivers, giving each other plenty of room. Mike Speed, a little bit more straight line speed on that top line. Boris trying to get a side draft down the backstretch. Mike Speed drives off hard into the turn, but slips up on exit a little bit. And Boris might live to fight another day. Kind of back down a little bit, let Mike Peters have it. We're keeping an eye on our battle up front. Got 0.2 of a second separate our leaders right now. As we watch this hot battle, John Boris all over the back of Mike Peters. Let's see if we can jump on board with John Boris. Here we go. Caution is out. Caution flag is out as we jumped on board with John Boris. So we can find what has taken place here. So Joseph DeCiro and James Ledford have been involved in an incident. We'll back it up. Here's the 110. This is Joseph DeCiro. Ledford just ahead of him in the Exalta 48 car. Ledford with some damage already on the nose. We're heading down what appears to be the front stretch here. Oh my goodness gracious. And James Ledford. Boy, I'm going to call it like I see it here. He took out Joseph DeCiro. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, let's go on board here with Joseph DeCiro. Here's it in slow motion. You see Ledford kind of tracking up the track, leaves a lane open for DeCiro. And it appears that he turns right. Now, what we can do here in iRacing, we have a cockpit view of everybody. So let's go real time. Joseph DeCiro's machine. Here he is. Watch the steering wheel. DeCiro knows. Oh, he backed off. He knew it was coming. We saw him let out of the gas. He knew it was coming. Let's check out James Ledford here. Watch his wheel. Ledford partial throttle. Not as egregious as I thought we were going to see, but I think, well, I believe that was on purpose. So officials gonna have to figure that one out. They are not gonna be happy with that. I'm glad I'm not in the officials booth as we got all of our drivers coming down pit lane. That may be resulting in James Ledford getting parked for the evening, and maybe next week we'll let the officials decide that one. Admin can handle it as our drivers coming down pit lane. We'll monitor what kind of tires we're taking. 20 laps in, I imagine everybody's going to take 4 fresh tires as we'll try to catch him coming out of the pits. Oh, Brandon Murray overshot his pit. Not going to be good for him. We got 2 tires going on right now. We're watching Chris Yarbrough, third car in line here. That was our current leader. Right sides are up, but Maxwell Caldwell here might be the first off a pit lane, and he is. Giovanni comes out in second with Chris Yarbrough right behind. Mike Peters, Woodall, Silipinski, and the rest of the field. Temples, Brown, Evans, Yarbrough, Borst, Merkel, Brooks, Held, Sutherland, Morales. DeCiro with the fast repair comes on out. Gilray. As let's reset our field here. Now we have Maxwell Caldwell out in front with a good pit stop. And Grijalva in the number 47 will sit in second spot on this restart. Chris Yarbrough will be our third place starter with Mike Peters in fourth. Good movement for Mike Peters. Lewis Woodall will sit in the 5th spot, and Gary Silipinski behind him, and Philip Temples in 7th. Josh Yarbrough with a good pit stop up to 8th spot. Todd Merkel and John Boris will round out our top 10. We're going to keep our eyes on our pace car here to see if the lights will go out. And yeah, it looks like they are. We're getting ready to restack them and rack them. We're gonna restart here with 22 laps to go, or 22 laps in. We'll watch the start here from our starter cam. Green flag high in the air. Big lane change there. Yarbrough way up the track here through turn one. Going to give up a spot to Silipinski, maybe more. Our leader before the caution is now back to the 5th position. Not a good restart. Restarted in 3rd after a poor pit stop. As now cars starting to freight train in. There's Temples getting in the back of Woodall. A little bit of an updraft down the back straightaway. The 19 Burger King car. Chris Yarbrough just stuck on the high line, not where he wants to be. Oh, and he gets big time loose. Does he save it? Slides back up into traffic and a huge crash. Chris Yarbrough, the kitty cat himself. Oh my goodness gracious. There is cars everywhere. Chris Yarbrough in the number 83. Leader before the restart. Absolutely. Oh. Oh, that is just terrible. That is just awful. Let's see if we can catch a replay of the incident. Here they are. There's Chris Yarbrough. Just nowhere to go for anybody, and the rest of the field piles in. Kyle Heath trying to get stopped. He blocks the track. More drivers back there trying to just not collect damage. We'll put this in slow motion. Let's try to watch this again from this camera. This is a good view. There's Chris Yarbrough trying to save. It doesn't. Makes heavy contact. That is Gael Brooks. That is John Held. Brandon Murray gets some contact. Mark Brown gets some contact. Joseph DeCiro, hard contact after that last caution. There's the 44 at Darnell. Slips on through. I think Darnell is okay. Heath, though, some contact as well. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Let's, I want to go on board here, see if we could catch what happened. I'm going to back this up a little bit. So we're going to back this up here. Yarbrough now, trying to get back in line. You hear the tires slip out, and he thought he had it saved, but it slips back up in the traffic, and then kaboom! And with the tight front straightaway here, just nowhere to go. The whole track is blocked. Oh boy. Chris Yarbrough manages to limp the car back to pit lane. I'm going to have to imagine that he, with no front end, no rear end, the entire rear end of the car is missing. Not even a spoiler is left. He is going to get, and look at that car, absolutely destroyed. Manages to limp it back low. And he's going to get a fast repair, I think. And there it is. Wow, wow, and wow. Wonder if we could get a word with him about what exactly happened there. They try to pull him down to our box and see if we could speak to him. Chris Yarbrough, this is Nick in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Hey, I gotcha.
Hey, Chris, well, we just saw you crash there. Tell us what you felt coming off of turn 4 that caused the car to just hook like that.
Well, she gets loose on cold tires. Pretty much the only time it gets loose with these cars. But yeah, I lost it, and you got to be really careful. These things are really easy to overcorrect and hook straight into the wall like I did at Pocono. So I was trying to just keep it straight, not overcorrect it, gassed it up a little bit, and that made it worse. And at that point I just locked it down and was trying to avoid coming back across the track, but obviously that didn't work too well.
Yeah, and it was interesting, you know, we see that happen to a couple of the Cup guys when they first ran these cars in real life, so just a testament to the simulation that iRacing has here, that the same thing happens in the simulation.
Yeah, man, I guess we don't have any, no side force in iRacing either.
But the good thing is we got a fast repair. We still got about 50 laps to go. Let's get that 83 back up front.
Thanks, man. Do what I can.
Very courteous of Chris Yarbrough to speak to us there after crashing his car. Pace car lights are off now, as it looks like we're heading down the backstretch. So thank you, Chris, for speaking to us. Back up front. We're going to restart here. 49 laps to go. Maxwell Caldwell up front. Joe Grijalva sits in second. I'm working his name down. Big jump by Maxwell Caldwell again on that restart, but look at who opens the door for. Number 94 racing game, paired by Roush Racing Ford Mustang of Mike Peters trying to slip up in the second spot. Ford versus Ford battle here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Grijalva and Peters. A battle royale for second on this restart. Caldwell in the Oreos car has slipped way, way away. This is really shuffle up the field here as Silipinski now gets a big run. Silipinski trying to slip around Peters in the 95 car. Silipinski trying to get his first win. Currently sits third in the standings. Oh, and Woodall. We see Woodall very loose. Same incident. Almost a John Force doesn't make it through. Caution is out again. Oh, my goodness gracious. I need to have my eyes deceived me. That looked like the exact same incident we saw with Chris Yarbrough just a lap earlier. Almost a carbon copy. Let's go back and take a look. Here's Woodall on the inside of Merkel. Yeah, the car steps out, tries to overcorrect it, and it just goes straight back into the wall hard as John Force just does not make it through. Does everything he can in the 86, parked against the inside wall there. John Force may need to take a quick repair on that thing. A carbon copy incident of what we just saw. Let's go on board. Oh, and that is a tough break for Borst. Kyle Heath may have got a piece of that, but caution flag is back out here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway with the Area 51 Cup Series. Oh, and man, this is something that we're going to have to watch the rest of this race. These cold tires on these restarts. Drivers just getting very, very loose in turn 4. Now let's take a look here at turn 4 exit. Here's the turn 4 exit. This is where we see cars getting very, very loose. And what's happening is they are coming, we see this dark line. If you could see that, the dark line on towards the bottom left of the screen. Oh, that might have been Brandon Murray there streaking on by and slapping the wall. I don't think that was Brandon, maybe Robert Jordan, I believe. That dark line, the drivers are on that, and there should be grip, and then all of a sudden they just lose it. Then as they slide down towards the pit lane, you see not a lot of room there, about 2 extra lanes there from the that wall just up ahead at the end of pit lane. And so they don't want to hit that. You don't want to go down pit lane either. You're going to lose a bunch of time, very long pit lane here, so they try to correct it back up onto the track, and it just doesn't happen. Just flat does not happen. As we see, here's John Borst. He's the one we saw make contact. I believe Woodall definitely going to be taking the fast repair. That looks like John Borst has as well. 29 laps into the event, just about halfway done. And yeah, there's Woodall in the Coca-Cola car. So all of these guys, Morales there in the 60 may got a piece of that one, need to be very careful as they are exiting that tricky turn 4. We could also do the wind. Let's have a look here at our flags. Yeah, not too much wind at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, at least high above. And so I don't think it's the wind that's coming into play. We're just kind of having drivers get very loose here as we have our pace car up ahead. And I believe lights are out. Yes, they are. Lights are out on the pace car, so we're going to re-rack them here. Kind of do a little field reset now that we are shuffled up. Just so we know where everybody is, we have Maxwell Caldwell, and I'll drop the tower here so you can look for your favorite driver's name. Maxwell Caldwell currently sits out in front, with Joseph Grijalva sits second. Good run for Grijalva so far in the 46. Silipinski sits third. Mike Peters in fourth. Todd Merkel with a good run so far, avoided these incidents up to fifth position. Brandon Murray sits in sixth spot. Isaiah Sutherland, we saw him get very loose and make contact with the wall a little bit earlier. Didn't bring out a caution though. Is right up there. Joshua Yarbrough as well. Next to him, John Held and Kyle Heath. That should be our top 10. Derek Gilray. Then we have Gael Brooks in 12th. Robert Jordan, Lewis Woodall, John Borst, we just saw in that last incident. Charles Evans, James Ledford back out there with a damaged machine. Joseph Morales and Chris Jaboo. Boy, Chris was on a bit of an adventure so far. Had that big accident himself, then another big accident. Carbon copy happened in front of him. Just I think it's going to try to make it here, avoid what happened and claw his way back. We're going to jump back up front and watch our restart. We're going to watch this from our drone cam. Awesome drone cam here that we have with green white checker TV. Field rolling down the front stretch towards the restart zone. Silipinski has slipped around Gravali here as Caldwell and Silipinski starting to get close. Could be something we'll keep an eye on here. Good battle for second and third as we're just kind of watching along, seeing what's going on as we come back down the front stretch. Top 5 here, we can all see him in the picture. Mike Peters with a strong, slowly has worked his way up front. As Brandon Murray trying to make a move to speed for 4 spot, and Murray can pull it off, and the Kohler Generators, number 6. Up front, this is something that we're continuing to see. These drivers just kind of locked down behind one another as Murray trying to peek his nose out. Disappears for a second, but now he's back. So don't know if he quite has anything for Mike Peters right now. It's very tough to get a run here. Wonder if anybody's going to switch to shifting these cars. Well, maybe a strategy that they use a little later as Brandon Murray gets very loose. Almost a carbon copy again of what we saw earlier with Chris Yarbrough and Lewis Woodall, but he's able to gather it back up. And that's going to open up the gap. Behind them, Sutherland up to 6. Merkel behind them with Kyle Heath trying to claw back. And Josh Yarbrough in the number 77. Strong top 10 run for Yarbrough so far. John Hell, John Borst, Kyle Brooks, Lewis Woodall trying to make something happen. Yeah, this is something to keep in mind. John Borst, Woodall, they've used the fast repair among many other guys, so they're going to want to try really hard to make sure they keep it nice and clean. Keep it between the walls, because any more damage, any big damage anyways, they're going to be kind of hurting. For what they can do, we see some packing up here. Here's John Hell trying to make a move on the inside of Yarbrough. They may put Yarbrough out of position through turns 1 and 2. You see him slide way up the racetrack. That's going to open the door for the 86 of John Borst, who's going to fill in the gap. Borst, strong run though, but nowhere to go with it with John Hell tucked up in front of him. Woodall sees an opportunity to start drafting John Borst down the backstretch. We'll see how much the draft comes into play here. As there's John Borst, Josh Yarbrough side by side. Not too much draft, but it is helping the 86 car. As Woodall drives it in very, very hard, unable to make that stick. Almost makes contact with the 77. Woodall gives the 77 a big bumper. That moves Yarbrough up the track. Josh Yarbrough not going to like that. Almost touches the wall. That opens up the door for Woodall. Kind of a risky maneuver. It was a short track maneuver at a super speedway with a 0-0. And at 971, a Kyle Brooks sticks his nose and also slips around Yarbrough. So Yarbrough losing a slew of positions here. Kind of gets stuck on the high side. 0-0 took advantage of him. That's going to push Yarbrough back to 13. Back up front. Our drivers still here, lined up. Just a few tenths of a second off one another. Maxwell Caldwell out in front. Gary Silipinski in second. Joseph Grijalva sits in third position. I Isaiah Sutherland about 2 seconds back, but look at this battle here with Brandon Murray and Mike Peters. They've been going at it for several laps as we were watching the other action. Mike Peters just catches the curb there. Luckily in these stock cars, able to gather it back up. If this was an Indy car, he'd be long into the wall for now, sitting out there on the golf course off the backstretch here. As that's going to allow Murray to slip away up front, though. 3 cars under a blanket still. Grijalva sits in third, waiting for an opportunity, waiting for somebody to slip up. Really driving in hard to the 1 and 2. I'm not sure what happened there, but he had a mega run. Oh, and now he really slips back there. You saw he gained all the time on entry, lost it all on exit. As Sid Lipinski trying to do everything he can. We're at the halfway point here. So let's take a look at our field rundown. Maxwell Caldwell, the number 94, is our current leader. Beautiful Oreos, number 94. Gary Silipinski sits in second spot in the Furniture Row Cone Police, number 78 Ford Mustang. With Joseph Grijalva getting a little loose there coming out of turn 3, but he sits in third position, the Ford Performance Motorcraft Ford Mustang. Isaiah Sutherland about 2 seconds back from these guys in the Sutherland Used Cars number 1. Sits in 4th spot with Brandon Murray right behind him, and the Kohler Generators Fastenal Castrol Ford Mustang sits in number 6. 6th spot, just behind them, Mike Peters in the Raising Cane's Repairify Roush Ford Mustang. Always a sharp-looking machine. Good run so far tonight for Mike Peters. Kyle Heath clawing back from some adversity up to 7th spot in the number 54 B. Marie Designs car. We saw him have some damage earlier, but is now up to 7th spot. Let's see if he can make a late move here in the second half of this race and work his way up to the podium spots. John Held in the 47 Castrol Toyota TRD number 47. Sharp looking car for John Held. Saw him involved in some accidents, sitting backwards on the front straightaway at one point up to 8th spot. Right behind him, John Borst in the Dizzy Coin DZ Cola. Nick and Nicky's Ice Cream, Dizzy Energy, Dizzy Motorsports number 86 Toyota Camry. Strong run for John Borst. He comes up, then he got in that accident. But now kind of level back out where he was earlier. So hopefully he can keep it that way. Just behind him, you see him into the picture, the USG Sheetrock. D-Wall, Guaranteed Tough Ford Mustang, the 971, the Gael Brooks. Brooks gained 12 spots since the start of this race, so a big mover on the day. Todd Merkel sits in the 11th position. Todd Merkel, the Merkel Racing Engines, driven to save lives. Number 2. Avoid all incidents so far, sits in 11th spot. Nice and clean day so far for Todd Merkel. Josh Yarbrough, we talked about him a little bit earlier, is now back to the 12th spot. Was up near the top 5 for a brief period of the day, the number 77 Toyota Camry. Derek Gilray, the Derek Coker throwback, the Flow Racing Area 51 Fanatec Track Racer, number 46. Sits 13th, and Charles Evans in the unsponsored, unnumbered number 58 car. Sits 14th. Joseph Morales, about 4 seconds off of Charles Evans, sits 15th in the beautiful Rockstar Energy Drink, number 60 Chevy Camaro. With Robert Jordan. Looking for Robert in our picture. We do not currently see him, so we'll jump back and look at James Ledford, who's our 17th place runner. In the number 48, we saw that incident earlier, controversial incident, may have caused that damage with Joseph DeSera, who is currently way off pace. Chris Jabu sits in 18th, our former leader in the number 83 Hendrick cars. Chevy Camaro sits in 18th spot. Not sure if there is any more damage there on the 83 or he's damaged the engine at some point, but he does not appear to be gaining any spots and is well off the pace of the leaders right now. Or maybe saving his stuff. Maybe this is some strategy play that we are just not sure on. Robert Jordan off pace, and Lewis Woodall, Robbie Darnell, Joseph DeCiro, among others. Philip Temples, Mark Brown, and Michael Malm off the speedway. Up front, no change in the picture. .43 laps into this 75-lap affair. Top three staying about the same. That time Silipinski a little bit slower than Caldwell and Grijalva, who have run exact lap times with a 54.12. Fastest two cars on the track, the 46 and 94. Silipinski just a bit off pace. Tires going to start coming back into play. We had those quick cautions, and now kind of a longer green flag run here. Remember, these guys came down the pit lane on lap 20, so we're 23 laps since our last pit stop. About 6 of those laps were caution. So about a 15-lap run here so far under green flag conditions. So we're approaching the longest run of the day. And we're going to have one more pit stop at some point. These drivers are going to need to come back in and have some time change tires and refuel the car, as Joseph Grijalva, big slip up there, lost a lot of time. Brandon Murray, Mike Peters, Kyle Heath, the three closest cars on the track to each other. A little bit further back, another good battle here. Here's John Forst and Kyle Brooks, Isaiah Sutherland. This is the battle for 7th, 8th, and 9th. As Borst trying to make a move here on Sutherland. Not able to get his nose in there so far. We'll go on board. We're on board here. John Borst. Check him out this time by to see what it looks like. We're on board that number 86. For Borst to look ahead and see the podium. Sorry, see the top 5. The podium cars way out front, top 3, but right in front of him, 5th, 6th, 7th, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th place, and then John Borst. Let's see if he's shifting in the 3. Cleared him just almost. Can he get him down the front stretch? And that's going to open the door for Gael Brooks. John Borst clears himself out to the wall. Good defensive move there for John Borst. That's going to put him up to 7th spot. And now Isaiah Sutherland's coming into the clutches of Gael Brooks into DeWalt number 971. 47 laps in of this 75-lap event. We're quickly approaching the 25 laps to go mark. As Borst now started to open up the gap from Sutherland, as Brooks is applying heavy pressure. Since that last caution flag, John Borst and Gael Brooks rolling through the field here, trying to make up spot after spot. This might be another one for Brooks. Both cars a little bit loose through the short chute of 3 and 4. Trying everything he can, all of his might. No can-do for Kyle Brooks. Back up front. Let's take a look. We have a Maxwell Caldwell, about an 0.8 of a second lead over Gary Silipinski, who has really opened up the gap to Joseph Grijalva in the 47. Grijalva, though, about 4 seconds ahead of Brandon Murray in the 6. Pretty big gap, so let's see if we can look towards turn 4. Sorry, turn 3. So there's our top 2. Here's third place. And we're waiting. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's what we're looking at here as far as our gap goes. So field fairly spread out here. Yeah, Mike Peters. It's like Mike Peters was the first car to peel off the pit lane. So this was 29 laps since our last pit stop on lap 20. Mike Peters coming down pit lane. There he is. We're keeping an eye on the car. See what kind of changes we're going to make. Stops in his box. We got some other drivers coming in. Derek Gilray is also pitted, so we're going to have to keep an eye on our leaders here, see when they are coming in. Here's Maxwell Caldwell in the Oreos 94. Oh, Chris Yarbrough, hard contact with the outside wall, and he immediately pulls it down to the pit lane. Boy, we caught that just on the edge of our cameras. Chris Yarbrough in the HendrickCars.com, number 83, hits the wall hard right in front of the leaders. Luckily for Maxwell Caldwell, Yarbrough was able to gather that back up and roll down pit lane. Boy, Caldwell counting his graces after that one. Maxwell Caldwell, Gary Silipinski, about a second or so off. As Caldwell and Silipinski trying to gain a lot of time down pit road. If he got it stopped in time, that is a heck of a move for Silipinski. We'll watch these top 2. As Grijalva also is coming to the pits in the 47 just behind them. So pretty cool to see all the ground that Silipinski has made up on that. So we're going to watch here our pit exit. It's a lot of drivers in pit lane right now. We want to watch Caldwell and Silipinski. Silipinski, the 4th car back in line. And there's Caldwell at the front of the line. So we're going to watch this battle. Here comes Silipinski rolling at Caldwell with a good pit stop, though. The Oreos crew very strong, as they're going to come out pretty even from what they were before the pit stop after all that time that Silipinski has made up under that caution flag. But he's rolling a little bit better on this apron, trying to be a little bit more aggressive. And that's something where drivers can really make up some time. Back up front, though, Brandon Murray, current leader over John Borst in the 86, with Kyle Brooks right behind. Isaiah Sutherland with a little problem coming back onto the track from his pit stop. That may catch him a penalty. Brandon Murray out in front. So right now, our leaders, these drivers all still need to pit, but Caldwell is in 6th, Silipinski is in 7th. They're separated by about a half a second. Brandon Murray, our current leader, with John Borst about a second and a half back. Kyle Brooks about 2/10 off of him. John Hell, Joseph Morales, the top 5 cars still need to pit. So we'll keep an eye on those. With 24 laps to go, this will be the final pit stop of the day. And here comes Brandon Murray, the Kohler Generators Ford Mustang. John Borst stays out for another lap with Kyle Brooks tucked up right behind. So these two drivers, this is first and second right now. Joseph Morales also still out on the track. So perhaps a strategy here that these drivers are playing. Maybe they're going to take 2 tires on this stop. Stretch this fuel out as far as possible. Less time on pit road. With the single lug nuts that we have in these next-gen cars, fuel is the limiting factor on these pit stops. Fuel is going to take longer than the tire change itself. So what they want to do is stretch this out, take as little fuel as possible. We also need to keep a track of the lap times. That last lap by Maxwell Caldwell, Gary Silipinski, who are getting very close to one another. Look at this, Silipinski really putting the charge on as we were watching Borst and Brooks, our current leaders. Good laps led here for John Borst, but right now this is where our battle is. This is for 4th and 5th currently. Will eventually be our battle for the top 3 positions. Those drivers of Brooks and John Borst, remember, they came down to pit. John Borst definitely pitted later than these drivers by several laps. So he's banking on having a nice and quick short pit stop here. May even take 2 tires. We'll monitor him when he comes down pit lane. But right now, this is where our eyes are. Silipinski and Caldwell with Joseph Grijalva in 6th position. He will come out in 3rd when the pit cycle finishes. Oh my goodness gracious, ladies and gentlemen, the caution flag has flown. The caution is out right now, and John Borst and Gael Brooks, boy, that may help their strategy a ton. You know, they were running long. They were about a second slower, half a second slower than our leader, so of Caldwell and Silipinski, so losing a lot of time. There's only 11 cars on the lead lap, though. So while they may end up behind all of those cars, they are going to have the freshest tires out there with going to be less than a 20-lap run left as long as they can make it back to the pit lane. So this was like Kyle Heath. Looks like Kyle Heath has had an accident. So we can back up and see what happened. Here's Kyle Heath, maybe very similar to what we've seen already today. Here's the 54 V Marie Designs car, and yeah, he gets loose, and he doesn't correct it, and that is the result. Right in front of John Borst and Gael Brooks, actually. Oh my goodness gracious. So that's 4 drivers, if you count Isaiah Southern, that we've seen make the similar mistake. As here's John Borst. The Dizzy Coin, Nick and Nicky's Ice Cream, Dizzy Energy Drink, DZ Cola, Toyota Camry, the number 86, and Gael Brooks coming down pit lane. Let's see if anybody else comes. We see Joseph Morales coming down pit lane as well. Those top 3 yet to pit. That should give the lead to Maxwell Caldwell and Gary Silipinski. Joseph Grijalva will be in 3rd place when this field resets. Yeah, Caldwell staying out. So Lipinski staying out. I believe all the drivers that have pitted will stay out onto the track. No need to come down pit lane, but we're going to watch these fresh tires. How much of a difference do fresh tires make? Definitely going to be something to watch. We see a couple other drivers in pit lane, so this may be an aid to the driver like John Borst, to a driver like Gael Brooks. I believe when this all shakes out, John Borst should come out in 9th position. See when they enter back on the track, that looks like exactly what happened, and kind of a fun strategy play to watch this. Let's see if we get a word with John Borst. Kind of lucked into this, but we'll see if he is happy about it. John Borst, this is Nick in the booth. Do you have a copy?
You, Nick, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great tonight, John. Well, we saw you have that incident on the front stretch, unable to avoid that, just barely. But leading, and the caution came out. Now you're going to have the freshest tires out on the field. What can you do with these guys in the remaining 20 laps?
Well, I think you got to nurse them for a couple laps here, and then hope they last at the end. There at the end, I was really struggling. I don't know if that's just because I was racing too hard in the aero wash or what earlier in the run, but those tires were about toast there when the yellow came out. But I gotta make hay. No more pit stops to the end, and I don't think anyone's gonna be dumb enough to give up track position. So just gotta see what happens now.
All right, well, we'll be keeping an eye on you, and Gael kind of looked like your drafting partner out there. See what you guys can do in these remaining laps.
All right, thanks, bud. Have fun watching to the end. We're gonna put on a show.
All right, and you heard it. That was John Borst, the 86 car, says he's going to put on a show. So we'll keep our eyes on him as our field. Let's see if we are going to get the 1 to go signal this time. And yeah, lights are out on the pace car. And let's watch our drivers here double back up. We got Maxwell Caldwell, Silipinski keeping the heat on all day. Joseph Grijalva will be restarting in 3rd with Brandon Murray alongside him. Mike Peters restarting in 5th. John Held, good run up to 6th spot. Joshua Yarbrough and Todd Merkel will restart in the 4th row. Good run for both of those drivers. John Borst will be restarting from 9th. Alongside him, it appears that it'll be the number 60, Joseph Morales, and Gael Brooks will be restarting from 11th. Last car in the lead lap, coming around to take his time here. Derek Gilray. Isaiah Sutherland appears to be 1 lap off the pace. So Isaiah Sutherland, James Ledford, Robert Jordan, Kyle Heath, Chris Jabou, Charles Evans, Lewis Woodall, Robbie Darnell, Joseph DeCiro, Philip Temples, Mark Brown, and Mike Malm are all 1 or more laps down. So top 12, half the field that we started with is currently on the lead lap. We're going to watch here. Keep one eye on John Borst and Gael Brooks. Joseph Morales right in that pack with them as well on Maxwell Caldwell and Gary Silipinski up front. See if their battle can continue. Or will Joseph Grijalva be able to get his nose in the Ford Performance Motorcraft Ford Mustang in there and make something happen? Cold tires and issues, so these tires are all cooled down now. We're going to watch that coming off of turn 2 and coming off of turn 4, where we've seen most of the incidents happen there off tricky turn 4 as we are getting ready for our restart. Maxwell Caldwell, big early jump, but Silipinski gets a bumper there from Brandon Murray. A little bit further back, Mike Peters trying to make a maneuver on the inside of Grijalva. Mike Peters sniffing and smelling a podium, trying to get there. He wants it from a couple weeks ago. He's been in the hunt for a podium finish. A little bit further back, there's John Borst making his first position up. As now we kind of got single filed out here. We got Caldwell out in front, Silipinski 2nd, Grijalva in 3rd, Brandon Murray in 4th, Mike Peters in 5th. Runs a little high there. That might open the door for Todd Merkel in 6th. John Held and John Borst, as Isaiah Sutherland also gets by Josh Yarbrough. Sutherland trying to put the heat on Borst as they are kind of all over the track back here, but keeping it all together. Enough of room for everybody now that the field is thinned out a little bit. Borst said he wants to try to save tires a little bit here as he slips up a little bit high there. I think he wanted to run a better line. You see the big run Sutherland has got. Little bit higher again than he wanted to be. That might open the door for Sutherland, and yes, it does. Isaiah Sutherland a lap down, remember. So he's trying to race to be the first car 1 lap down. John Borst just gives him the spot, knows he's a little bit quicker. Or at least hopes he's a little bit quicker. Up front, though, Silipinski pushing it to try to get to the Oreos number 94, Maxwell Caldwell. So top 3 here, kind of in lockstep. A little bit further back, there's Brandon Murray and Mike Peters. Seems hard to make up positions here, unfortunately. And that's going to be a challenge for these guys. We see all the time that John Borst here has lost to Todd Merkel and John Held. Maybe trying to save a step, hoping for late race caution. Up front, we'll check lap times this time by between Caldwell and Silipinski. Silipinski just a hair quicker. 53.79 to Maxwell Caldwell's 53.82. Gonna need Caldwell to slip up though, but if he keeps applying the pressure, you never know what can happen. There's Caldwell very close to those rumble strips. That's a good line to run, but that's also going to be a nervous line to run for him. If he hits those rumble strips, Silipinski's probably hoping he does that. It's all about hitting your line here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You want to run right to those curbs without touching those curbs. As Caldwell a little loose down the front straightaway off to turn 4. Really pushing it here. We'll check our lap times this time by. That time by Caldwell just a hair quicker. Trying to close up the gap here, crawling up to the back bumper to 94. 14 laps to go with the Area 51 NextGen series. Meanwhile, just a little bit further back in the pack, gonna have a good battle here. Silipinski almost scrapes the wall between John Borst now is caught up to this group. There's Todd Merkel in number 2, Merkel Racing Engines car. Borst tucked up right behind him. Thinking about making a pass, but not quite close enough. You see he gets a big run there. You heard him mention the aerodynamics. That comes into play here at Indianapolis, just like it does with the Indy cars. So you really got to place your car in the right position. John Borst trying to back up the corner just a little bit there to make something happen, but that's going to allow Merkel to streak away. Got to try to make quick work of these guys if you want to come through the field. It is tough to pass, that's for sure. So something John Borst is going to have to battle to try to get his way back up here. Up front though, Silipinski, this is the closest we've seen. A big run down to the inside of Maxwell Caldwell. This is for the lead of the race with 11, 12 laps to go. Silipinski on the inside, Caldwell on the outside in the Oreos 94. Through the short chute between 1 and 2. Drives it hard into turn 2. Silipinski trying to make it stick. Caldwell on the outside. This is going to allow Grijalva to catch right back up to the 2. Can Grijalva make something happen? He's going to go to the inside of Silipinski. He may try to take it all the way as Caldwell backs off to close the door. That's going to now open the door for Caldwell, who gets a little loose through turns 3 and 4. Grijalva trying to drive it to the inside. No! Gets blocked by the 94. Nowhere to go here as we got a tight battle for the first place position. Grijalva on the inside, Silipinski lined up with Caldwell on the outside. A little bit of side draft taking place. Little 47 driving it hard into turn 1. Yes, he does. He gets to the inside of the 94 car. Caldwell and Silipinski in that second lane. Grijalva in the 47. Down on the inside. Tight, close quarters, battle royale action here at the turn 2 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And look at the number 6 car, Brandon Murray, coming into the picture. Grijalva on the inside, Caldwell on the outside, Silipinski bump drafting down the backstretch. But that is not enough. Grijalva got the inside line into turns 3. Through the short chute now. Gets a nose, quarter, bumper, trying to clear the 94 of Maxwell Caldwell. Big run on the outside, really drives it in hard. Side by side now with 10 laps to go at Indianapolis Motor Speedway as Brandon Murray has made this a 4-horse race. Brandon Murray is in the hunt now. He has caught right back up as we've got our leaders side by side. A little bump there by the 47. That's going to open up the door. Caldwell thinking about giving a bumper back, trying to regather the lead. He's led most of this race. Grijalva in the 47, the first time we've seen him lead today in the Ford Performance Motorcraft car. Single file back out, top 5 under a blanket with 10 laps to go. We see Caldwell's car, the number 94, very, very twitchy. See it again there, Silipinski twitchy as well. These guys need to take a deep breath. 10 laps to go, 9 to go when they cross the line this time by. Grijalva, the fastest car on the track that time by. And look at this, the top 6 cars here, nose to tail, with 9 laps to go at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Brandon Murray, big time loose. Able to gather it back up and save it. But now he hits the grass. Now he's really got to be careful here. We'll keep our eyes right here, see if he gathers it back up. Yes, he does. That opened the door for John Borst, able to go by. Todd Merkel goes by. Brandon Murray losing a slew of spots on that one. Boy, big time save by Murray up front though. Grijalva has opened up the gap to Silipinski and Caldwell. Even lap times for our top 2 that time. Grijalva wants to keep it nice and steady. Silipinski, all of that action. He's still in second place. Boy, he initiated all of that as now our field starts to get spread out a little bit more for these top 8 spots. Very incredible racing here. With about 10 laps to go, Silipinski trying to do what he can to make up that time, and I think he may have been reeling the 47 car back in. Caldwell just a hair off. Mike Peters sits 4th. Good run for him. John Held in 5th. John Borst. Here comes that number 86. I don't know if we have enough in lap time to get there. We'll check lap times this time by, though. See what kind of time he's making on these guys in front of him. Caution is out. Yellow, yellow, yellow. Oh, no, and that's Mike Peters. Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious, that's Mike Peters. Let's see what happened here. There's John Held and Mike. Oh my goodness. Oh, hard hit for the 47. John Borst squeaks on by, gains 2 spots there. Oh. Heartbreak Hotel has struck once again for the driver of the number 95. Let's go on board here with John Held. There he's already crashing. That's not where we want to see. Let's see if we can back this up a little bit further. Not what I want to look at. How about here with our yellow? Here we are side by side, tight against the wall. 2 drivers going for the same piece of real estate on the front straightaway. Kind of a dangerous position for this accident to happen. Let's back it up one more time. Watch this. You see Mike Peters move over to the left. Nowhere for John Held to go. Trying to avoid the inside. And a catastrophic accident for 2 drivers who had a strong top 5 run. And Mike Peters once again, late stages of the race, suffering from the ill-fatedness of an accident. Heavy damage on the Raising Cane's 95, trying to limp it back around. John Held, he may be out of the race after that one. Oh my goodness gracious. Let's reset the field though as we watch Mike Peters. They're probably going to try to get as much of that damage fixed as possible. Joseph Grijalva in the 47 Ford Performance Motorcraft Ford Mustang is our current leader. Gary Silipinski in the 78 Cone Police Furniture Row car sits 2nd. Maxwell Caldwell in the Oreos 94 sits in 3rd position as we have some drivers coming to pit. John Borst fakes him out and stays out. Silipinski and Caldwell coming into the pit lane. Remember, they pitted some of the earliest pit stops, so their tire is going to be worn out here. We have 6 laps to go. We'll probably restart with about 4 laps to go, so close to green-white checkered. Track position is so key here I'm a little surprised that they pitted, but not too many cars on the lead lap, so they may be able to work their way back. There's Caldwell and Silipinski, both probably taking 4 tires. Yes, they do. They have one in the set in the pits yet. It's like Silipinski, a little bit of an incident on his tire change as Merkel beats him out, Mike Peters beats him out, Gilray beats him out. So Silipinski losing a slew of spots on that one. Up front, though, let's take a look at what our leaders look like here. We have Joseph Grijalva is our current leader in the 47. John Boris is going to be sitting in the 2nd position. Brandon Murray behind him. Or maybe Brandon Murray dropping back a position. Gonna have to see about that one. But that's going to put Maxwell Caldwell then into 3rd place, Todd Merkel next to him. So Maxwell Caldwell, our leader for most of this race, is going to be restarting with the freshest tires in the field from 3rd spot. So look for him to make a big move on these 2 drivers in front of him who are on older tires. Joseph Grijalva sits in 1st position. Grijalva, not a name we've talked about very much this year. But always a contender. And that caution also, we want to make note, that caution should put Isaiah Sutherland back on the lead lap. As field now getting double filed. We're lining back up for our restart. We have 4 laps to go. We're going to have 3 laps to go. So we're going to have green and then 2 laps white checkered. So close to a green white checkered here, restarting with 3 laps to go. We'll have 3 laps to go. So green, 2, yellow, white checkered. So let's do a field reset here as we're rolling through onto the back straightaway. Joseph Grijalva is 1st, John Bohr 2nd, Maxwell Caldwell restart 3rd, Todd Merkel next to him, Mike Peters involved in that incident, uses quick repair, will restart 5th, Derek Gilray in 6th, Josh Yarbrough will restart 7th, Brandon Murray should be 8th, Gary Silipinski 9th, and there's Gael Brooks rolling up. Looks like he's rolling up to his starting position in 8th, so field kind of shuffled around here in the back. And we'll keep an eye on our leaders here. Look for Grijalva to get a big start on this restart. He wants to streak out and drive away, try to put as much distance between him and John Borst and Maxwell Caldwell as possible. The 47 and 86 on older tires. John Borst has about 10 lap old tires. Grijalva has about 20 lap old tires. Maxwell Caldwell, though, on the freshest tires out here with Todd Merkel. Everybody from Caldwell on back has 4 fresh tires. It's just the top 2 on older tires here. The 86 slightly newer than the 46's tires, as pace car is going to make that hard left-hand turn into the pit lane. 3 laps to go here on green-white checkered TV with the Area 51 Cup Series. Grijalva, the number 46, gets out to a good start. Caldwell trying to get closer to the 86 to drive it in hard, but the 86 may close the door, and he does. But Caldwell really wanted to get that spot as he slides up the track, almost slaps the wall. Todd Merkel trying to make something happen up there on the high side. Unable to do it. Caldwell, though, gaining on that 86 as the 47 has streaked out in front. Grijalva, that's exactly what Grijalva wanted, as big of a lead as he can open up. The 94 Caldwell trying to make something happen there behind the 86 car. Runs it up to the inside. Does he make contact? Almost. But they keep it straight. John Borst, good run for him. Side by side for second position. Borst not willing to give it up as Mike Peters starting to close back in. We are now at 2 laps to go. So Grijalva out in front. Then we got Maxwell Caldwell in second. John Borst in third. Borst going to try to hang on here for that podium spot. Caldwell, can he close back in on Grijalva, who is about 0.7 of a second up on the leader? Caldwell closing up the gap slowly but surely. He's got about 0.5 of a second to make up. Grijalva, though, looks like he's having some connection issues. We're trying to watch his car, but it is bouncing all over the place as Maxwell Caldwell is approaching with a white flag. Grijalva out in front, but may have lost connection here. I do not see Grijalva's car out on the speedway, so Maxwell Caldwell, our current leader. Behind him, John Borst and Mike Peters. Borst trying to hang on for a second place finish here as Grijalva, our leader for this last portion of this race, has dropped out of the track. The perils of online simulated auto racing. Grijalva, Heartbreak Hotel. But for Maxwell Caldwell, the cookies have crumbled in his direction. He's going to taste the milk and dip his cookies as he crosses the line to take the win at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. John Borst comes across the line in second spot with Mike Peters in third. What a recovery for the 95 of Mike Peters. Oh my goodness gracious. And Joseph Grijalva leading in the late stages by almost a second. Half a second at the white flag. And connection drops out of the park. Oh my goodness gracious. There is never a shortage of excitement here with the Area 51 Next Gen Cup Series. Wow, wow, and wow. We are going to have a chat with the number 95 of Mike Peters, a driver we've been watching and cheering on, trying to get him onto a podium. Let's see if we can pull him down here. So our third place finisher, Mike Peters. Mike Peters, this is Nick in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Hey, I sure do.
Well, Mike, a little bit of trouble there for you late in the race, but it looks like it panned out, and you ended up in third place. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I felt bad about that. I saw him getting a draft run and gave him the entire outside, and then he tried to squeeze it down on the guardrail, and then I guess he came up a little bit, so that kind of sucked. I'm kind of over getting in accidents, and that was another one. But, yeah, somehow that worked out. I have no clue how. But, yeah.
Yeah, I thought for a second there was another one of those incidents. The past couple of weeks here, you've been right up front in the top 5 fighting for podium spots. How's it feel to finally close one out tonight?
It feels good. I mean, Area 51's a solid league. The racecraft is pretty good. Everyone here knows what they're doing for the most part. It's been kind of nice to get in a race where, you didn't really have any nonsense go on. It was, people actually racing and running clean, and I was able to mind my own business and finally got a result for it. So that's nice and refreshing.
Yeah, we're very happy to see you finally get a good result out of it. Before we let you go, who would you like to thank tonight?
Thank my wife for letting me come play video games, obviously. And then, all the guys, Max and Gary and, Todd and everybody that was in the chat there. We've got some new guys in the league, too, like Brandon and a lot of the other guys that have come in and been a great asset and fun to race with. My buddy Charles was in here, too. I felt real bad for him losing due to connectivity. But, yeah, thanks to all my friends and family and stuff and, the people that support my motorsports digitally and realistically, too. Raising Cane's, Chicken Fingers, One Guard Inspections, Repairify. Happy to have them helping out with digital and some real world stuff.
Awesome. Thanks for talking to us, Mike. Congratulations on third place, and we can't wait to see you next week.
Thanks, man. Same here. See you around.
All right, that was Mike Peters, the Raising Cane's Repairify, number 95. Now we're going to jump up and talk to our second place finisher, John Borst. John, this is Nick in the booth. Do you have a copy?
I do.
Well, John, second place tonight. You stayed out there late in the going. Tell us about what your thoughts were when you saw the leaders coming down pit lane.
Well, I just was in the notion that I was just going to do opposite. I mean, I wasn't going to win doing what they were doing, so I just took a shot, and unfortunately, I just didn't quite have the tires underneath me to hold off Max, and I feel bad Joseph blew a motor with one to go like that.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen a sim race end like that where the leader loses his connection in the late stages like that. Now, you fought through some adversity tonight there, involved in an incident on the front stretch and not your own doing, but what was the car like out there in traffic? It looked like it was a bit challenging to make some passes.
It's the same gripe I have every time I drive this car. It doesn't have enough power. It's too draggy, but the draft doesn't do anything. And it's like an Indy car, but I get all the cons of driving an Indy car, none of the fun stuff. So you just kind of got to be smooth and just hope other guys mess up in front of you.
Well, strong finish for you tonight, John. P2. Before we let you go, who would you like to thank?
Well, I'd like to thank the guys at Dizzy Motorsports for letting me run this car. Dizzy Coin, Nick and Nicky's Ice Cream, Diz Energy Drink, DC Cola, Area 51 for putting this league on, and you, of course, for always broadcasting for us.
All right, John, thanks for talking to us. Congratulations on your second place finish, and hopefully we see you up here again soon.
Sounds good, bud.
All right, that was John Boris in the number 86 Dizzy Coin, Toyota Camry. Final driver to talk to this evening, our winner, the number 94 Oreos, Chevy Camaro of Maxwell Caldwell. Maxwell Caldwell, this is Nick in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, Maxwell, you're starting to make a bit of a habit coming up here in the booth and talking to me this season. Tell us about what your race was like tonight.
Oh, man, I had to put a bunch of practice in for this track. Indy is what I like to call my worst track, believe it or not. I'm not good in the corners here. They're just so awkward to me. Like, they've got banking, but they're also flat. Like the second run of the race, I was getting stupid loose off every corner and didn't know why. So just put in a bunch of practice this week because I knew qualifying would be important. Luckily, got the pole and got that first pit stall. That ended up being huge tonight as far as beating some guys out of the pits, especially there at the end. But all in all, it was a decent race there. Got damage in that last run. I got a really wide arc, and I was going to come on the radio and tell the boys that I just had a heck of a good run through a corner, and I just twitched a little and ate that wall, and it kind of killed the car. I couldn't believe I hung on there battling side by side with that damage like I did for a little bit, but that caution was my saving grace, man. I was able to come down and get the faster pair I hadn't used all race, fix it up, and got out there and was running down the leader. He was lagging really, really, really bad, but I noticed on that first lap, once we got to 3 and 4, I made up half the lead he had jumped out to, so I knew I was going to catch him regardless, but I was afraid with the lag he would come to block and I wouldn't know it, and it'd put both our cars in the wall or wreck him or whatever. But his connection ended up dropping, which I hate to say. I think that was the best outcome just because I don't think we made it the rest of the way without a major crash or bunch of hurt feelings with all that lag going on. So bummer for the 47. Ran a smart race all race and just lagged out in the last lap. That sucks, but glad to bring this 94 back home to another win, and especially at a track that I struggled and put a lot of work in at this week. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, you could tell that you put some work in there. A very solid run for you all race up front, and well, you got Oreos on your car, and the back quarter panel says Milk's favorite cookie, and you're going to be drinking the milk tonight in Victory Lane. Before we let you go, who would you like to thank?
Oh, first and foremost, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I mean, without him, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't get to do this. He has blessed me beyond measure. So thankful for him. My teammates, man, I love running with my teammates, Gary and Todd and Mike Peters and all those guys. It's just such a blast getting around with them each and every week. And we're always learning from each other, right? So it's great to kind of pick their brains mid-race and maybe adjust something or help the teammates out. Kind of did that tonight. So that's a lot of fun. Thankful to you guys at Green White Checker TV. I know I have a blast on Thursday nights getting to help call the trucks, so I understand your position here and how much action you get to see each and every week. And that's why we try to put on a great show for you, Nick. Thankful for you for calling it, and thankful for the league. Without them, we wouldn't have this awesome series and all this great racing we've had this season.
All right, thanks, Maxwell, for talking to us, and can't wait to see you again next week.
10-4, thank you.
That was Maxwell Caldwell, our race winner. Let's take a look at our final results for the evening. And we got Maxwell Caldwell, the number 94, our winner by about 1 second over John Borst in the 86. Mike Peters gets a podium finish tonight. Todd Merkel, good top 5 run for Todd Merkel. And Brandon Murray, after that big slip-up on the backstretch, comes home 5th. Gary Silipinski, Derek Gilray, Joshua Yarbrough, Joseph Morales, and Gael Brooks round out our top 10. Isaiah Sutherland, Joseph Grijalva, the absolute Heartbreak Hotel Award tonight, leading the race, coming to the white flag, and connection issues drop him out of the race. Man, what could have been for Joseph? Comes home in 12th. James Ledford in 13th, John Held 14th, Robert Jordan 15th, Kyle Heath, Chris Chabot, and Charles Evans comes home in the 18th position. Rounding out our field, we have Lewis Woodall and Robbie Darnell rounds out our top 20. Philip Temples, Joseph DeCiro, Mark Brown, and Michael Malm round out the remainder of our 24-car field. And that is going to be the end of our coverage tonight. What an absolutely great action that we saw, even at a track where it's usually hard to pass. We saw some great battles between all of our drivers. So it is my pleasure to broadcast these races every week. I thank all of you for watching along with us and enjoying our coverage here on Green White Checker TV with the Area 51 Cup Series. We were live here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and until next week, good night.